Okay, so the next step in this MMRT Altium libraries tutorial is to actually install the libraries onto your computer. Um, this is going to be a two-step process. So the first step is to be able to get all of our PCB library files, so all of our PCB footprints and all of our schematic library files, or all of our schematic symbols, onto your computer. And then we're going to make sure you can get that Excel spreadsheet open that has all of the component properties in there and get everything set up in Altium. So the first thing, getting our PCB libraries and schematic libraries on your computer. If you go to GitHub, log into your GitHub account, you should have been added to this Mac Rover organization. Click View Organization here. This is all of our team's GitHub repositories here. The one that we're obviously going to click on is the Altium Libs repository, and then you'll be able to see all of our MMRT Altium library files in here. You're going to make sure you select the branch New Libs, and you're going to download this folder on your computer. So open up GitHub Desktop or download it as a zip, and then you can extract that folder to any location in your computer that you want, whether it's on your desktop or in your documents folder. It really doesn't matter. After you've done that, you should be able to go into the folder here. I already have it downloaded, of course, and you'll see all these different files in here. The three folders that you're really only going to be paying attention to is this models folder here. This is where we store all of our 3D models for our PCB footprints. This PCB folder contains all of our PCB library files, and this SCH folder contains all of our schematic library files. Everything else you'll see here, you can really just ignore. All these files are basically, this is how we used to manage our libraries, which is a very inefficient way, so just ignore this stuff. You only really want to pay attention to these three folders. I also highly recommend using GitHub Desktop to manage all of your updates to the Altium Libs folder. So if you want to check if someone made any changes to the Altium Libs or made any new PCB libraries or schematic libraries, you can just click on this Fetch Origin button up here and then pull that person's changes onto your computer. If you click on this History tab, you should be able to see all of the changes that have been made in the past. So whenever we usually make a change and push it to the repository, we just type in a few words saying, okay, this is kind of what we did or what I did. Yep. So if you ever make any changes to our Altium libraries folder, like making a new footprint or schematic symbol, you'll be able to type in a quick summary of what you did and then make a commit to the new libs branch. Pretty simple stuff if you're not used to GitHub. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to be able to use that Altium, or not the Altium, but the Excel spreadsheet. So you're going to want to be able to access that. So that Excel spreadsheet is managed on SharePoint instead of GitHub, because if it's managed on SharePoint, we could have multiple people in that Excel file, making new components in there. It's a lot more seamless than GitHub, so we use SharePoint for that. This is our McMaster Mars Rover Team SharePoint. If you're not familiar with it, this is where we store all of our documents on the rover. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to this link, which I will put in the description. Sign in with your McMaster account and then click this sync button here. What this will do is it will actually allow you to access all of these files from your file explorer on Windows, or on whatever you use to explore files on your Mac. Yeah, so basically it doesn't take up any space on your computer. All this is just managed on the cloud, but it's just a handy way of being able to actually navigate our team SharePoint directly on your computer. It's just a lot easier to manage things and access things that way. So after you click this sync button, make sure you have OneDrive installed and you're logged into your McMaster account, and then it should take you through like the synchronization process, which is super easy. After that's all done with, you should be able to see this McMaster University header on the side panel here, and then make sure you go into this electrical folder here, and then you'll see this Altium Libs folder. So let's click on that, and then of course you'll see that Excel spreadsheet. So let's just open that up and make sure everything's good there. Yeah, this is that Excel spreadsheet that contains the properties of all of our components and what schematic symbols and footprints they are associated with. So that's perfect. So after you've opened that up and make sure everything's good there, the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to open up this MMRT_DB .dblib file. So this is an Altium database library file. This is the file that we configure the database libraries with. This file basically tells Altium, hey, we have an Excel spreadsheet with all of our component properties in it. What schematic symbols and PCB footprints are associated with it. This is the file we use to set up Altium, understanding that we're doing this. So if you open up this file, it should look something like this. What you're going to want to do is you're going to make sure that this path text box here, Altium Excel DB.xlsx is in this path text box. Fumbling my words there. And you're also going to make sure that this store path relative to database library is checked. All this should be in here by default since this file is managed like team-wide. Everything should all be set up for you. Just make sure to double check that. The next thing you're going to do is you're just going to click on like either one of these two, bubbles here, and then go back to select database type. So basically all that did is it just refreshed this reconnect button here. So then you're going to click on that, and that's basically going to connect Altium to our MMRT database, I guess you can call it. Yep. And the next thing that you need to do is you want to go to your components panel. So in this bottom right hand corner, there should be a panels button. Make sure your components is selected and you can like see it over here or somewhere on your screen. If you go to this top drop down menu, you should see somewhere in here all these MMRT_DB database libraries. All these database libraries correspond to all the different sheets on this Excel file. So as you can see, we have a database library for resistors right here, and each component in this library is each row of the Excel spreadsheet. All those resistors, like I was talking about earlier. Yep, and then you have the same thing for capacitors and like transistors, inductors. Everything should be all in here. So when you click on this, make sure to just kind of expand this window out a little bit so you can get an idea of what's going on, and make sure that you expand out this bottom section of the components panel here, and you'll be able to see the properties of each component as you click on it. And if you open up this models tab here, you should not see the schematic symbol and the PCB footprint. That's because we need to tell Altium where you have these files stored. So that's the next thing we're going to do. So if you go into Tools, and make sure you're on the MMRT database library, go to Tools, Options, Symbol and Model Search Paths, and what you're going to do is you're going to copy the directory where all of the PCB libraries and schematic library files are stored, which should be in that folder you downloaded from GitHub. So you're going to copy the file path of that folder, and then you're going to paste it into, let me just actually copy it, and then you're going to paste it into this text box here and click the add button. I'm not going to click the add button since my file path is already in there, but that tells Altium this is where all the schematic symbols and all the PCB footprints are stored. So after you do that, make sure you go into your components panel, click refresh, and now you should be able to see whenever you click on a component, its schematic symbol, and its PCB footprint, and it should be the same thing for all components. Well, if things will load. So like if we're looking at microcontrollers and stuff, yep, there you go. You can see the schematic symbol and the PCB footprint for that. Now that we're in the home stretch, the last thing you want to do is you want to click on this menu here in the components panel, this little 3-bar button that says operations on it when you hover over it, and then you're going to go to file-based libraries preferences, and you're going to click on this install button, and make sure you select this MMRT underscore DB, so our database library file, and click open. I'm not going to do that since I've already installed it technically. And then all this will do is when you go to like any schematic, you'll be able to see our libraries in the components panel. So after you click that install button, select the file in the file explorer, click open. It should appear at the bottom of this list. Make sure you just spam the move up button and move it to the top, and then click close. And now you should have our MMRT Altium libraries installed on your computer. So what you can do to test if it's properly working is just go to any random schematic. So I'm just in that schematic that I've been using throughout this whole video series. And I'm just going to go to, let's just add in a random capacitor. I'm just going to scroll into the middle of this menu here. So I'm just going to click on this capacitor. You'll see the schematic symbol in the footprint. I'm just going to drag that. Just drag it and drop it onto your schematic, and bam, your capacitor's right there. The components all just in your design now, and you can just start making your electrical connections to it. And yeah, that's about it for the Altium Libs installation. And if you have any troubles with it, just reach out to a more experienced member of the team who can help debug the situation for you.